We've spent 4 entire seasons thinking we understood the rules of this show. We thought we knew what the Upside Down was, where it came from, what it meant. Turns out we've been wrong this entire time. Volume 2 of Season 5 just dropped the kind of revelation that recontextualizes literally everything we've watched since 2016. And I'm not talking about some minor detail or Easter egg. I'm talking about a fundamental rewrite of the show's mythology. The Upside Down isn't what we thought it was. It never was. And once you understand what the Duffer Brothers have actually been building toward, the entire endgame suddenly makes perfect sense. Let me explain. Everything we thought we knew was wrong. For years, we operated under a specific assumption. When Eleven sent Henry Creel through that portal in the lab, we believed she banished him to the Upside Down. That twisted mirror dimension became his kingdom, his domain. Simple story, right? Except that's not what happened at all. The Upside Down was never the destination. It was the hallway, the connection between 2 points. Think of it less like a place and more like a tunnel, a wormhole that bridges our reality with something far darker, something called the Abyss. This completely changes the geometry of the threat. The Upside Down isn't inherently evil, it's just infrastructure, a passage that Henry's arrival accidentally created when Eleven threw him through dimensional space. The real source of everything, the actual birthplace of the Mind Flayer and all the darkness we've been fighting, exists somewhere else entirely. Somewhere the characters didn't even know existed until Dustin cracked open Brenner's hidden research. And that's where Henry's been this whole time, not hiding in the Upside Down, recovering in the Abyss itself. The wormhole theory finally pays off. Remember Mr. Clark's class back in Volume 1? That whole sequence about wormholes that felt like classic Stranger Things science exposition? That wasn't just world building. That was the answer hiding in plain sight. The show has always used real physics concepts as narrative scaffolding. Sensory deprivation tanks, electromagnetic fields, parallel dimensions, but wormholes are different. They're not just connections between places. They're connections between times, between states of reality. What the characters now understand is that Henry's plan was never about conquering the Upside Down. It was about using it as a bridge to merge the Abyss with our world completely. November 6th, the anniversary of Will's disappearance. That's the date Henry chose because it holds symbolic power. It's when this all began, when he first reached through that bridge and pulled someone through. Now he wants to finish what he started, 12 vessels. 12 kids he views as weak and controllable, all timed to the moment when both worlds can fold into each other and the bridge collapses inward. If he succeeds, our reality doesn't just get invaded, it gets replaced. The military subplot actually matters now. Here's where things get darker. Kaylee's return isn't about redemption or happy reunions. She's back because the military got their hands on her, and what they wanted from her reveals something genuinely disturbing about the larger implications of this story. They're trying to recreate Brenner's work, build more powered individuals, manufacture more test subjects with Henry's abilities. But here's the problem. You can't just use any of the numbers' blood. Kaylee's didn't work. The genetic profile has to be perfect. It has to match Henry's original DNA signature, almost exactly. And there's only one person alive who fits that profile, 11. This is why the military isn't trying to kill her. She's not a threat to eliminate. She's a resource to capture. Her blood is the key to creating an entire generation of superpowered soldiers. Which brings us to Callie's actual plan. And this is where Volume 2 gets ethically complicated in a way the show hasn't really explored before. Callie believes that even if they win this fight, even if they destroy Henry and seal the Abyss forever, 11 will never be safe. Someone will always come for her. Some government program will always want to harvest her abilities. So Kaylee's solution is permanent. Stay behind when the bridge collapses. Let both of them be erased along with the Abyss. Remove the temptation from the world entirely by removing themselves from existence. It's framed as self-sacrifice, as protecting the greater good. But there's a question lurking underneath that the show hasn't fully answered yet. Does Kaylee actually want to save 11? Or does part of her want revenge for being abandoned? The love stories. Nobody expected Jonathan and Nancy almost dying together. Should have been the moment that brought them closer. That's how these narratives usually work, right? Trauma bonds people. Near-death experiences make love stronger. Instead, it tore them apart. And honestly, that might be the most mature storytelling decision the Duffer Brothers have made. They realized they were holding on to each other because of shared trauma, because walking away felt scarier than staying in something that wasn't working. Jonathan said it perfectly when he described feeling like he couldn't breathe around her. That's not love, that's survival instinct. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit that what you had was real and important, but it's not what you need anymore. They told each other the truth in that cave because they didn't want to die while lying to themselves. It's sad, but it's also also honest in a way teen dramas rarely allow themselves to be. Meanwhile, Lucas became the thing that pulled Max back from Henry's mental prison. Not just music, not just memories, the active, present feeling of being loved by someone who refused to give up. That's a different kind of power than what 11 has. It's not telekinesis or mind battles. It's the sheer force of human connection piercing through psychological manipulation. Holly's breakthrough worked the same way. She escaped because Max told her she was a hero. That single piece of validation became an anchor strong enough to break Henry's hold. It suggests that Henry's greatest weakness isn't raw power. It's genuine emotional bonds, the exact thing he can't understand or replicate. The Henry Creel origin we're about to see. That flashback in the cave was a fragment, a glimpse, but it's pointing towards something we're going to see in full in the finale, the real origin of how Henry became Vecna. And it involves something the show has been building towards since the stage play. Henry wasn't born evil. He was transformed. Something happened in the abyss during those 12 hours he was missing as a kid. He encountered the Mind Flayer in its original form, and whatever darkness lives in that place infected him, rewired him. He became a vessel himself, the first one. This reframes his entire character. He's not just a villain making evil choices. He's someone who was fundamentally altered by forces he didn't understand as a child. The trauma of that experience, of believing he killed everyone he cared about when he returned, is what locked in the transformation. And now he's trying to do to others what was done to him. Create vessels, spread the infection, turn victims into perpetrators. It's a cycle of abuse told through interdimensional horror. The fact that Henry uses family deaths as leverage against his targets takes on new meaning. When you realize he's replaying his own worst trauma over and over, he knows exactly how devastating it is because he lived it. What Volume 2 gets right and wrong, look, I'm gonna be honest here. These 3 episodes felt rushed in places, like there was too much story to fit into too little runtime. Volume 1 had room to breathe, it let moments land, it built tension gradually. Volume 2 is moving at the speed of a finale, but we still have one more episode to go. Finding out that everything we knew about the Upside Down was incorrect feels like information we needed earlier. The Abyss sounds massive and complex and full of lore, but are we really going to get satisfying answers about it in one final episode? I have doubts. The show also seems uncertain about whose story this actually is anymore. Is it Will's? Is it Eleven's? Is it Max and Holly's? Everyone's getting important moments, but the focus keeps shifting in ways that dilute the emotional through line. 11 has taken a backseat compared to season 4, and that's bizarre considering she's supposedly the key to everything. That said, there are moments in Volume 2 that absolutely deliver. Vecna's slow motion reveal as he stalks Holly around the corner is genuinely terrifying. It's patient and methodical, and shows him as this unstoppable force. The Demodog Hospital attack is maybe the most visceral action sequence the show has ever done. The camera work makes you feel trapped with the characters, and watching Karen Wheeler fight through her injuries to protect her kids taps into something primal. The song choice when Max wakes up brought back all the emotional devastation from season 4. If you know, you know. Will's coming out scene was handled with care. Seeing his friends and family rally around him immediately, no hesitation, no drama, just support, felt earned. And having Vecna weaponize Will's fear about it shows how personal and cruel Henry's attacks really are. The final battle is going to be insane. So here's what we know is coming. The team is going to let Henry believe his plan is working. As the bridge between worlds starts to shrink, they're going to push into the abyss itself. Get close to Vecna on his home turf. Then 11 and Will, working together, are going to go inside his mind and try to kill him from within while simultaneously collapsing the entire dimensional structure. If they can destabilize the exotic matter holding the bridge together, everything folds, the abyss collapses, the connection severs permanently. But here's the catch. Kaylee wants 11 to stay behind, to let herself be erased along with everything else. And Hopper knows. He doesn't trust Kaylee. He can't lose 11 the way he lost Sarah, which means we might be heading toward a sacrifice. A dad protecting his daughter one last time. The grandfather clock ticking at the end of the episode. The candles burning. These are Henry's symbols. But they're also signs that the Mind Flayer itself might be preparing to make a final appearance. We're not just fighting Vecna anymore. We're fighting the source of all of it. So what do you think happens next? All right, here's what I need from you. We've got one episode left, one finale to wrap up 5 seasons of story, and there are still massive questions on the table. Does 11 sacrifice herself? Does Hopper? Does Kaylee's plan actually serve the greater good, or is it revenge disguised as heroism? Can Will and 11 actually kill Henry when they're in his mind? Or does someone from the group have to make an impossible choice? And what about the Mind Flayer? Is it coming back for one last fight? Drop your predictions in the comments. Tell me who you think makes it out alive. Tell me what you think the Abyss actually is. Tell me if you believe Kaylee has good intentions, because in a few days, we're going to have answers. And I want to know what you're expecting before we find out what actually happens.